Good morning, lovely people. Yay, morning. Actually, the morning is cracking on because I'm not a morning person. I've been up and at it about 3 hours already, but no one wants to come near me first thing in the morning. So we're starting the day now when I've got my energy and I've got my joy. But one of the things I thought this morning when I was in my don't come near me grouchy phase was I was making my porridge and I was using up the last bit of oat milk that I'd made yesterday. So I thought, yay, let's start the day with that. So even though I'm not going to have my porridge now because I've had it, yummy in my tummy, I'm going to make some oat milk and then I'm going to have it tomorrow. It's so easy. Now, the one thing people have talked about, and I've done some looking up, I did quite a lot of looking up online, is this issue of slime. I'm just getting my bits ready. I'm using my NutriBullet. This issue of it being slimy. So there's a couple of different factors that can add into that. So one, it's the type of oats. So the best type to use are just bog standard rolled oats. Don't use quick oats and don't use steel cut oats. It's all to do with how they're going to absorb water. A lot of that slimeness, it's about the starch in the oats reacting with the water. So don't pre-soak your oats. You know, if you do overnight oats and you soak them overnight either with water, or I've sometimes done it with apple juice when we've had apples from the allotment, it's really lovely. And by the morning they're sort of plump and creamy. That creaminess, when we're trying to make oat milk, that's what we kind of feel like is the slime. So no soaking, and everything I'm going to do as quickly as possible with the milling of the oats quickly, because the oats and the water, the friction created by blending it, that creates heat. Heat's going to make them slimy. So onwards. Quick sticks, Vivi. 1 cup of oats. It's about 40 grams. I know that because when I tried it for the first time, I wanted to actually weigh things, measure things, so I could work out a costing. And I reckon I'm only going to make the equivalent of about 60, just slightly over 600 mils, slightly over half a litre. But if I upsized it to a litre, it works out at about 5p. And this is porridge oats from Lidl. I like them because they come in a paper bag, great, but also because they're cheap. So I've got my oats and my NutriBullet. Whatever blender, crusher you've got, have it on the highest setting so that it gets done quickly. That's the thing with this, we want to get it done quickly, reduce that kind of friction. So I'm going to do it for about 20 seconds. Oh. I think that's enough. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Give it a knock. Get it out of the blades so you can see it's very fine powdery now. Oh gosh, sorry. I can't stop the day with an itchy nose. People often talk about that. Oh, sorry. I'm just a very, because I'm a very itchy person. So then I'm going to add my water, and it's cold water, so fridge cold overnight. So it's I'm going to add, just want to get that where it's caught in the little sort of fins, get it off. It's the equivalent of 3 cups, which is 600 mils approximately. Each of my cups is about, 1 cup is 200 mils. Pop that in. Let's put it back on. And on it goes again for have to give it a few taps and bangs just to get all the oats down. And again, another sort of 20 to 30 second blast. I'll pop this bit. That'll do. That wasn't even 20 or 30 seconds, was it? And there's my oat milk. Now, here's the thing. I don't use this for drinks. I don't use it for, you know, cold on cereals. So it is still a bit bitty. I'm going to put some in a jar because it will store in the fridge for about 5 days. I mean, I don't make that much in one go. I make this much and this does me for 2 breakfasts. I'm just going to do this over the sink. So I'm just behind you. I would normally use 1 part now, today, and the other part goes in the fridge. It's a bit frothy at the moment. I don't know if you'll be able to pick up, but you can just see some tiny flecks of oat still. That's fine because it's going in my porridge. That texture isn't an issue. To be honest, I wouldn't mind that texture in cereal if I was having a cold cereal like muesli, granola, whatever it is. But if you really don't like those little bits, the thing you need to do is strain it in a nut milk bag. So it's a bag that's, you know, like you have your jam jelly straining bags, or like I strain my calendula oil through muslin. It's the same principle, but it's a very fine mesh. Much finer than muslin. If you didn't want to fork out for one of those special bags, you could do it through a very fine cotton, like a tea towel, but a really like a high thread count. And don't as it's dripping through, don't be tempted to force it, because when you force it, when you squeeze it, that can add to the slime factor. Now, also overnight in the fridge, or over the next 24 hours in the fridge, it will settle a bit. I just give it a bit of a shake up. Back to the slime thing. So at this stage, for me, yeah, there's no slime factor at all. But what I did find out with my research is I should just have said, in hot drinks, the heat from the hot drink reacts with it, and it can give that slime factor. So all these oat milks, these commercial oat milks we buy, they've had quite a lot of processing. We think, oh, it's a really simple natural product, oats and water. But they go through an enzyme munching process. And I found online, someone had tried it, a sort of a DIY at home, the enzyme process. And it had worked quite successfully, but it is quite a faff, because it involves soaking the oats in water and adding digestive enzymes. Now, you can get digestive enzymes to take as a nutritional supplement, and that's what she did. She got 2 of her enzyme capsules, opened them, so that all that starch that's reacting, that wants to turn it to slime, gets sort of gobbled up by the enzymes. Then the whole lot was rinsed really thoroughly, then made into the milk. No slime for hot drinks. Does anyone want to go that far? I would say give it a go this way. Finely mill your oats on a high setting, so we're reducing the amount of time we're actually zizzing it things for. Cold water. Let's pop that back in the fridge. And again, the final whiz up as quick and as possible, so no heat. You can see how now it's been sitting on the counter. Can you see how it's settled a bit? So mine is bitty. I'm not bothering to strain it because it's going in porridge. If you don't like the bits, strain it, like I said, through a very fine weave. Give it a go, see how you get on, because like I say, if it's just for porridge, or something like a muesli or granola that's bitty anyway, you might find that it's perfectly acceptable. And at 5p a litre, wow. I mean, the last time I looked, I did look, I think Lidl's version of oat milk's about 85-90p a litre, which is really cheap. But then you go into things like, you know, the brands, Alpro, Oatly, in your other supermarkets, and those sort of like £1.65 to £2.50 in some cases, which is crazy, because a litre is going to do what? Just for me, that's going to do 4 breakfasts, 4 days of breakfasts. So 5p to make that much. Each breakfast is 2.5p. Brilliant. Right, there's a lot to do today. I thought what we'd do is we'd have a hangout day together. We're going to have a day in the life of a frugal girl at the very end of autumn, just before we go into winter. So I'm going to quickly clear things away. We're staying in the kitchen for the next job, which is also noisy. Right, next bit. Need my pinny, because I'll get filthy. I'm going to carry on processing tomatoes. Oh my goodness. It's been going on and on and on. I'm very grateful. I still have, oh my goodness, I've got about a granny trolley's, I can't do my bow today. That'll do. I've got about a granny trolley's worth still in the shed to come over. A bit of space in the window. These I prepared last night, as in they're destalked and washed. Right, yes, so I've got Tupperware ready, I've got my blender, this. It's kind of undignified being in a rubbish bag, isn't it? But that's another harvest of my new potatoes. That was about another 4 plants or so. The thing is, someone was asking about potato reveal, why don't I dig them all up and show us? They store better in the ground, so those later today, it's one of my jobs today that I hate, is I'll be scrubbing them clean and putting a load of mud down my sink, but I'm going to get them scrubbed clean because over the next couple of days I'm going to do a load of cooking, hopefully some today as well. Right, colander, those are ready. Yeah, I was going to do this last night, but it's one of those really, really lovely evenings. Let me just run a little bit more water. I need the loo! It was one of those really lovely evenings when I was having a really, really long overdue catch up with one of my besties in the States, and she lives in the States, what am I saying, she's in Canada, sorry, but she lives right across on the west coast, so there's quite a chunk of time difference. So it's her morning and my evening. Anyway, we finished chatting and I came in the kitchen to start washing and getting the tomatoes ready to process. I looked at the clock because I'm going to make some more noise. I looked at the clock, it's getting on for midnight, so I thought, nah, do it tomorrow. So yeah, just a quick wash. Most of them, I mean, they're pretty clean, but just where we had that kind of, at the end of September we just suddenly started having quite a bit of rain, so some of them did get a bit mud splashed. And of course this is, I'm mixing them as I store them. I don't kind of do like just, these are Gardener's Delight, the ones in the bowl. These are the beautiful Rose de Berne. Oh, there's an Amish paste in there. They'll just get chopped and mixed together. But one of these Amish paste plants, actually it was 2 in the end, did get blown over in that big wind we had. So, okay, good. When I was back in the garden at some point, Can't remember when, doesn't matter. I was talking about the fact that I don't like tomato skins generally. You know what? Some people may think, oh, that's really fussy. It doesn't matter. I don't care what. I don't care if someone, you know, kind of scolds me for being too fussy. It doesn't matter. I think the thing with food is, don't let anyone ever shame you about how you eat or how you like to prepare things, because you know what? Food's really important. We need food, obviously, nutrition, but also food should be enjoyable. So, for instance, I blend all my soups because I like my soups blended. Someone had a go at me once for that, and it's like, why are you having a go at me for blending my soup? If you don't like to blend your soup, don't blend it. But don't have a go at me. It's crazy. Anyway, so I've never been particularly a fan of tomato skins. So all I'm going to do now is, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 biggies. So 2 biggies to each blend. Maybe, we'll see. So with some of the biggies, I'm chopping them up to go into the blender anyway. And as I chop, if there's any, excuse me, sort of gnarly bits, you know, the sort of really thick, stalky bits or whatever, and just chop them out at this stage. Yeah, so historically, when it's come to the tomato preservation, oy vey, hours and hours and hours in the kitchen, doing a very quick blanch of the tomatoes, 60 seconds or so in boiling water, out with the boiling water and plunged into an ice bath. And I have a proper production line going on, or used to. So there'd be 2 pans for the stove and 2 ice baths. So I can be continually, and then as I tip the boiling water and tomatoes into the sink through the colander, quickly then get the tomatoes into the ice bath, the water that's in the bowl then goes straight back into the pan whilst it's still hot. Yeah, anyway, massive faff. And you know what, I'm just trying to make my life less faffy, more faff-free, more time, you know, free up time. But also, all those hours and hours spent in the kitchen doing that, standing, it's the standing which just really gets the pain levels through the roof. So, I tried my first batch of it, whizzed everything up in the blender, skins and all. I've always kept the pits and all that kind of stuff, and some of the white fleshy bits. So I whizzed a portion up, whizzed it quite fine, and then immediately cooked with it to see if I would like it. Because that's the thing, isn't it? You don't want to process things in a different way. Process everything and then find out later, oh God, I don't like it. So if you're trying a new way of doing things, just do a small portion, immediately cook with it, see if you like it, and if you do, great, carry on. Hang on, blitzing noise, turn it on. So I do it on, pulse it a couple of times just so it can, to get them all down onto the blades. You can tell when they've all managed to get into the mix rather than blumping and chunking about, because suddenly it just, you can see it running smoother. If I caught one of my own hairs there, oh lordy, right, hold on to the end. No matter how much I tie my hair up, there we go. So yeah, I've just whizzed it up. Hang on, let me tip you down so you can, let me turn that around, tip you down, and then you can see it's not like, it's not met. Oh my God. See, this is what, you know, people say, oh, do more cooking videos. It's, you know, it's kind of, it's a faff on your own. If I had a camera woman with me. So it's not mega fine, but it's fine enough. And also people may say, well, why are you doing that at all? By blitzing them down. So I put in a handful of the cherry tomatoes and 2 of the big ones. In my hands it would have been like that, but blitzed down, I can really pack it into one of my old takeaway tubs. In fact, the amount that's in there is the equivalent of if I bought a tin of chopped tomatoes from the supermarket. So that is the equivalent of how much is 1 tin of chopped organic tomatoes in the supermarkets these days? I have no idea. It's been a long time. I'm just going to bring you, sorry, creaky, bring you back up again. Yeah, it's been a very long time since I bought tomatoes from a supermarket. So you can see, look, this is dead, quick and easy. And honestly, these days my attitude is anything for an easier life. Anything. I have in the past bottled a lot of tomatoes using a water bath can. You can see. Just get those. Can you see there? That's my water bath canner. Oh, by the way, slight change up in the kitchen. The very observant of you will have noticed the radio's gone over there. There's a story behind it which I will relate to you later in the day when I'm doing another job. Yes, sorry, but back to water bath canning. I have done quite a lot of water bath canning in the past, but again it's because it takes such a while, the process. And okay, you don't have to stand over the water bath when it's actually doing its thing, although I do stay close because obviously sometimes you want to top the water up. But it can be bubbling away for an hour and a half, and there's all the faff of excuse me, there's all the faff of sterilising the jars. And there's the faff of having the jars, and when I say faff, I mean the cost, because wow, kiln jars, everything's getting expensive. Obviously these are free. I scrounge them. A lot of them are scrounged from my nursing days, which shows how long they last. It's from my nursing days, from night shifts when my colleagues used to grab a takeaway on a night shift. So yeah, I think I'm actually thinking of getting rid of the water bath canner space. I'm going to be having my freezers on anyway for other stuff. So yeah, it's that thing in life, isn't it? It certainly is for me. What's the easiest? What's the fafflessest? It's not even a word. And in a way, it's really, really cheap. Yes, there's the cost of having the freezer on, but like I say, the freezer will be on anyway. It just makes life easier. So I will carry on with all of this and then catch up with you when I start doing whatever it is, the next thing. I've got a list of what I want to get done today, as I do every day. Let's see how far I get. Anyway, back to the tomatoes and the noise, which you don't need to stick around for. Good, washing up's done as well. I don't always wash up as I go. I sometimes leave it till the evening, because I'm obviously going to be eating later on, making more dishes, but it takes up quite a chunky space and I might need some of these bits later on. I'm leaving my washing up water for now because I'm going to be doing a dirty job in a second and it'll be, somewhere to rinse. But that's a very happy, oh my goodness, another 7 portions. And I just before I washed up, I quickly looked up online how much organic chopped tomatoes are at Sainsbury's, just because that was the one that came up. 90 pence a tin. So that, what's it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 nines, so that's £7.20's worth of tomatoes just whizzed up this morning. Easy. Never mind sowing the seeds, growing the plants, or the pruning, the training, the tying in, the watering. But yeah, great. Oh yeah, let's quickly pop the washing in. So, oh, ow, ow, ow. Exactly as I do, I'm just on in the washing machine. You know, the good thing about a small kitchen is everything's to hand. Yeah, exactly as I do in the garden, when I'm at home, I do that thing of making sure I sort of alternate standing jobs with sitting jobs. I know, how to rock life as an old lady, even though I'm only in my mid-50s. So, having had, oh, get in there, having had this standing up time, we're going to go in the other room and do a nice, quiet, so I was just checking my settings, a nice, quiet, sit down but fiddly job. Oh, but first I need to find space in the freezer for these gorgeosities. Oh, that's nice. Sit down. So I'm going to get on with cleaning my Falco secateurs because whoopla, they are filthy. Look on the back, can you see on the silvery part, that's tomato juice, tomato tar. They need cleaning anyway. Just taking the spring out. This isn't a tutorial, I'm just cracking on. I've done this before as a video. They obviously really need cleaning. By the way, you get one of these when you get your secateurs, your Falcos. Don't lose it. It's precious. It's our spanner type tool. I have got pliers with me in case something's tight, my wire wool, my sharpening stone, and my good old WD-40. Oh, and really importantly, a little dish at the side. Isn't that gorgeous? Thelwell. Oh my goodness, I loved Thelwell when I was a kid. I still love it now. And it always reminds me, because I was quite tall as a kid, there was no money when I was a kid. There was certainly no money for, you know, riding lessons, never mind actually having a horse. I'm just undoing this first bolt here, and that will release the one that's got the cogs on it. Yeah, there was no money. So, but I just loved horses. Anyway, I was fortunate that I had, I'm just taking the middle section out now. I was fortunate that I had, well, one friend who had horses when I was at school, and now the two parts come apart. So yeah, I used to be able to sometimes snag a free ride at her house. I just thought she was gloriously glamorous and posh because they had horses. But when I was first learning, I'm just going to take the, oh look how filthy rusty it is, that's why I've got the wire wool. When I was first learning, she had the most beautiful brown bay horse. He was gorgeous, he was 3/4 bred, absolutely stunning. Wasn't allowed on him. There was a beautiful grey mare. She was quite cobby, she was quite big, but I think there was some cob in there. She might have even had a bit of blimmin' Clydesdale, and she was a chunky lass, beautiful. Wasn't allowed on her. To begin with, I was only allowed on Mary. Mary was a Shetland pony, so that's why I think of Thelwell, because, oh my goodness, the size of me on a Shetland. She was a stubborn little so-and-so though. You know, you'd be approaching a little jump, she'd just stop dead and I'd go flying off and get flung into the poles. Oh, happy days. But later in life, when I sort of went into my, because those were friends when I was really little, like sort of 7 or 8. when I went to high school, when I went to big school, and sort of going into my teen years, I had friends who were from the traveller community. And we all know how the travellers love their horses. So, yeah, plenty of free rides that way. And what was great about that was often riding bareback. So you really learn how to keep a good seat. If you're not on a saddle and you've got no stirrups, you learn how to hold your seat. Brilliant. Oh, such a lovely thing to do. It's we've got another kind of, well, it started off, it was raining to start with this morning, and really great. I've got the lights on. You know, it's funny because it's been so mild. It's weirdly mild, worryingly mild. I hope we do get, see, I'm so torn about this. As a gardener, I hope we get some really, really heavy frosts at some point. A, for, you know, sort of killing off slugs and snail eggs. B, our garlic needs a good frosting to help the cloves split, so we get individual cloves rather than one big single bulb. By the way, if you ever do get a single garlic bulb, you know, it hasn't bossed up into cloves, and let's say you're not going to use it all in one go, you're going to chop into it, what you can always do is, you've got your bulb like that instead of cloves, chop a bit. I mean, I use loads of cloves in a meal anyway, but if you're a milder garlic user, chop up the bit you need and then chop the rest into about clove-sized pieces. Chop it all up, chop, 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 put it in an ice, put all those bits into ice cube trays, top up with a bit of oil and freeze that, so that for your next cooking session, because we always use a bit of oil with our garlic, don't we? Yeah, just simply pop an ice cube out and it's your garlic and oil all ready for you. So yeah, don't despair if your garlic comes out and it's all sort of in solid individual things. Yeah, so I want a frost from that point of view as a gardener, but on the other hand, this mild weather, it means at least we're not putting our heating on, thank goodness. We're delaying that awful inevitability of when it does get cold. But I looked at the forecast and I think we are just about now to start getting back to normal temperatures. When I say normal, for this time of year, it should be about, well, tail end of October, sort of 13, 14 degrees. Into November, 11, 12, 13 degrees. A couple of days ago in London, the high recorded was 23 degrees. I mean, we'd normally be happy for that on a August bank holiday. One of the reasons I'm mentioning the weather, also something I will do, that soapy washing up water that I left, remember? What I'll do is I'll use it to wash the handles because they're pretty grubby and sticky too. Yeah, the reason I was mentioning the weather, starting off a bit rainy, grey, gloomy this morning. Well, I don't mind because I've got things to do at home. There's always, you know, it's Sunday today. It's supposed to be a day of rest. I ain't going to be stopping all day. There's always something to do at home. But one of the things I'm always looking out for is with the light, is if I've got shop stock to photograph. And I've only got one thing at the moment. I did have a whole load of new books that I've put in. They're all in there already. Some really lovely things. And what I'm really pleased about is I've been managing to find quite a lot of books that are brand new condition. So they're perfect for gifting. I think in the wellness section in particular, there's just such a lovely run of books in there at the moment. Anyway, the point is, at the moment, I only have one new item for the shop. So I'm always kind of keeping a lookout. I kind of have this sort of feel of the light. And then there'll be a perfect moment for photographing when it's not so bright that shadows are an issue, but it's not so dark you can't actually see the item. Oh, happy days. It's those kind of days, isn't it, where there's just a load of little fiddly jobs to get done like this. I've got a ton of ironing, well, I've got a ton of ironing to do later because of that load that I've just put in the machine, but you can see a rather odd item on the airing rack behind me. I think I might do that job next after this, because I want to press it before I'll explain that when I'm doing it. But yeah, I like these days when I don't like jobs mounting up, but I do like those days when I can say, right, you know what, ignore the garden, ignore everything else, just get on with all these little jobs. I mean, look, that is the one that had all the tomato tar on it. Doesn't it make a difference? So basically all I'm doing is I'm just cleaning it with wire wool, getting all that gunk off. So that's both handles done. There's a little bit on the end there that's a little bit stubborn. So I'm going to carry on doing this. So those are pretty much done. I'll wash the handles in the washing up bowl. Then same treatment for blade. Look, this is a bit where you're now going to be really careful. So despite the fact that this is blunt, I mean, it's blunt in terms of, for me, using it in the garden. It's not blunt though. Yeah, despite the fact that whenever I finish doing something in the garden with them, I always give the blade a quick wipe. And if I feel like they're really sort of gunky, soggy, wet, juicy, whatever it is, I don't close, I leave them open to sort of dry, as it were. But yeah, I mean, they just get such a lot of use. And one of the reasons that this had become a more pressing job, as in, Vivi, just get on with it today, is because in a couple of days, probably on the next fine day that we get, I've got my last stand of beans in the garden to take down. Excuse me. And there's still quite a lot of green material in them, and they're a beggar to chop up at that stage if the blades aren't really, really sharp. I mean, it's just good tool care anyway, isn't it? We should all, whether it's your garden tools or tools you use at home, like sewing kit or whatever, do the maintenance on them. Keep them clean, keep them in good order, make them last. That's one of my other adages, is buy well, buy once. Buy the best quality you can afford, and hopefully it will be something that will last you for life, such as these secateurs. I didn't buy these, they're fantastically expensive. They were a lovely present from a fellow gardener, thank you, Jan. Likewise, my Hori Hori knife, a present from another fellow gardening friend, thank you, Jackie. But yeah, look after your kit, make it last. When you think how hard our kit works for us, give it some care. Do not on a piece of cardboard because I don't have newspaper. Happy work. Yeah, sorry, I was just got completely lost in my moment then. I'm going to turn the camera off in a sec to finish off because I do actually kind of want to lose myself in this. I was mentioning getting the bean stand down, the last stack of beans down, because actually what I've done throughout October, in terms of balancing schedule, life, all that kind of stuff, I've sort of prioritised the garden throughout October. Because everything in the garden, I mean, it does calm down. I've talked about this in other videos, that whole kind of November to February kind of rest period when there's less going on. But in the last couple of years or so, I think, I've been a bit sort of tardy with getting the last, whoopla, don't lose anything. That's the other thing about Falcos though, just to say, and with a lot of things where you've bought well, bought once, is that these are the kind of companies that you can buy spare parts for. I hate this in life these days, this sort of inbuilt obsolescence of, you know, tools, gadgets, what have you, where when it breaks, you know, it's not worth fixing because it's, you know, either it can't be fixed, you can't get parts, or it's so expensive to fix that it's just cheaper to throw it away and start again. Doesn't make sense, does it? Anyway, yes, I'm going to digress myself. Yeah, so with the garden, I have sort of prioritised it in November because, like I said, in the last couple of years, the whole sort of, I don't ever put the garden away completely. You know, the garden does continue to function through the winter. I will continue to harvest. I'll continue to be, you know, doing bits and bobs of maintenance, but the majority of it goes quiet. But in the last couple of years, I've been really tardy in sort of September and October, and I've ended up actually having quite a lot of days down at the garden in November playing catch up. And having had, this year has been a year of catch up. That's all I've been doing is catch up, catch up. That's why I kept my apron on. And I was determined that as we go into November, I get back into my work, like the sewing. So November is going to be very much about things like processing the lavender. I need to start getting it home. Yeah, I did not want loads and loads of garden work lingering into November. So the beans, there are 2 biggish jobs. Oh no, I've just thought of a third. The shed. There are 2 biggish garden jobs left to do. I plan to get them done in the next few days so that November becomes about sewing, needle and thread. One of those, bean stand, it's that thing, isn't it? It's always that thing of working backwards, of what steps do I need to take. This is a big step. Get my secateurs sharpened. Right, I'm going to leave it there with you lot for now and rejoin you once this is all done. Oh, so much better. They're like new again, and what's really lovely, that gorgeous swish of now sharp blades passing each other once again. Yay! Yeah, good as new. Right, I've looked at the time in terms of how long we've been chatting. I've been chatting for ages already. Yay! Well, it's a nice day, isn't it, to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is say that's the end of part 1. You know, I've done these day in the life of frugal girl videos before, and they always end up being 2 parts, just because a day is a long time, isn't it? But yes, this little frugal girl, what have we frugaled today? 5p oat milk, £7.20 worth of organic tomatoes, and essentially like a brand new pair of secateurs just for a bit of elbow grease and cleaning. Right, now I think we'll start part 2. I'm going to dive straight into it with that thing over there. So I need to get the ironing board out. So I'm going to do another stand-up. We're going to start the next one with a stand-up job, and I'm going to explain what I was mentioning earlier about why the kitchens a few things have moved around in the kitchen. Oh my goodness, I will tell you all in the next part. So until then, cheerio lovelies.